They say patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. And after waiting 8 long years for the all-new Isuzu D-Max, let's see just how sweet it really is. Into new heights is the tagline for the 3rd generation D-Max. So what sets it apart from its predecessors, and more importantly, its competitors? Well, unlike previous models, this no longer shares the same platform with the Chevy Colorado. In fact, this shares the same platform with the upcoming Mazda BT50, which we hopefully get within the year. The variant we have here is the LSA, which is a 3-liter 4x2 with an automatic transmission. And at first glance, this can be mistaken for the top-of-the-line 4x4 LSE model. But upon closer inspection, you'll see that this only gets halogen headlights, as opposed to the bi-beam LEDs and DRLs found in the range-topping 4x4 LSE. Like the top-of-the-line model, this also gets a fang-like grille, which is blacked out to give it a more rugged look. And don't worry, it doesn't bite. Moving on to the bumper, you'll find turn signals, fog lights, and an overrider to complement the high-end look. The D-Max is an approach angle of 30.5, a departure angle of 24.2, and a ramp over angle of 23.8. Weighting capacity is at a very respectable 800 millimeters, which puts it in the same league as some of the best in class. Along the side, you get these over fenders which aren't overdone, and they work nicely with these 18-inch rims, which are wrapped in all-terrain tires that are 60 series and 265 millimeters wide. This new model is actually 30 millimeters shorter than the previous one, but the wheelbase is 30 millimeters longer, so that should translate to better handling. However, the longer wheelbase will also make it feel like the undercarriage is prone to scraping. Good thing though that ground clearance is at a very decent 240 millimeters. At the back, you get these stylish LED taillights and a color-coded bumper. Opening and closing this tailgate is done unassisted and may require a bit of elbow grease, though it's nice to see that this does come standard with a bed liner. Payload capacity is 1,055 kilograms, while towing capacity is 750 kilograms unbraked and 3,500 kilograms braked. Now this is where they really raised the bar. It's a marked improvement over the previous one and can even rival some of the best interiors of pickups in its class. Now you won't exactly forget you're in a pickup truck because of these durable hard plastics found on the dash and on the door cards, but you will be reminded just how far pickup trucks have come in recent years. The focal point here has to be this massive infotainment system. This is locally sourced and comes standard with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You also get a backup camera, which is a must for any pickup. Another nice touch is this built-in clinometer, which shows pitch, roll, and direction. In terms of storage, you won't be left wanting because you get storage on top of the dash, a dual glove box, and more storage underneath this armrest. Bottle holders can also be found on the doors, and you also get these cup holders on the center console, one of which is shaped like a D. I wonder what the D stands for. Oh yes, of course, D for diesel. Anyway, these seats may be made of fabric, but they are extremely supportive and provide good bolstering in case you want to tackle rough roads. And I know this isn't the top of the line model, but it would have been really nice if they also gave us a leather wrapped steering wheel. After all, this is what you'll be keeping your hands on most of the time. Another feature you don't get in this trim is automatic climate control, which I personally don't mind because I find these knobs a bit more intuitive compared to a push button or touch sensitive system. The instrument cluster here is mostly analog, but you also get this colored multi-information display, which I also like. Moving on to the back seats, you'll find that ingress is made easier with a grab handle, which comes in handy for someone with excess baggage, such as this guy in the video. Space is also abundant as there's decent leg and headroom. Under thigh support can be improved, but there is enough space under the front seats for you to stretch out. Comfort is pretty good as you don't sit too upright, and you also get rear air vents, a USB port, and an armrest with cup holders. The rear seats can also be folded in case you need indoor or additional storage. It's also worth mentioning that the D-Max got a 5-star Euro NCAP rating, which is good to know because it's time to take this thing out for a drive. Under the hood of this all-new D-Max, you get a re-engineered chain-driven 3-liter turbo diesel engine, which pumps out 190 horsepower and 450 Nm of torque. Now that may not be class-leading, but what's impressive about this is that peak torque comes in at 1600 RPM and stays there until 2600 RPM. But aside from that, you still get 80% of the torque throughout most of the rev range, and that's still 400 Nm. So what does that translate to as far as the driving experience is concerned? Well, the D-Max always feels light on its feet, which makes driving it an effortless affair. And despite having a big displacement, claimed fuel efficiency is still 12 kilometers per liter in mixed city and highway driving. But aside from the power delivery, the steering is also nicely weighted, and the ratio is surprisingly quick, dare I say sporty. And that makes the D-Max feel a lot smaller than it actually is. It really doesn't feel like you're driving a pickup truck. Now, the Achilles heel of most pickups is a harsh and bouncy ride. And I wouldn't exactly call this an exception, but for what it is, the ride isn't bad. You see, you get a double wishbone suspension at the front and leaf springs at the back. But while most pickups have 5 leaves, this only has 3. And that makes the ride a lot more compliant. Now, a lot of folks in the market for something like this won't only need it to be a workhorse. Chances are they're also going to use this as a daily driver. And the D-Max will fulfill both roles extremely well because it'll give you all the capabilities of a pickup without you having to pay the penalty in terms of comfort and convenience. The Isuzu D-Max LSE 4x2 with an automatic transmission is 1,390,000 pesos. And it may not lead the segment in terms of performance, nor is it the most feature-packed. However, when you get behind the wheel of this, don't be surprised if you want to drive it home, because it really has reached new heights. This is a fine example of something being greater than the sum of its parts, and we may have waited 8 long years for this, but man, was it worth the wait.